Jonathan, how do I get people to show up to my website? I don't know how to get traffic to actually show up. Well, if you have that question, that's what today's episode is all about. Hello, messengers, and welcome to the Market Your Message Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Milligan, author of the new book, Your Message Matters: How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Know. And that's what this show is all about. We're here to help you. You're a messenger. If you want to write, teach, speak, coach, if you want to do online courses, if you want to have influence and impact and income online, this is the show for you. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the only 3 ways to drive traffic to your website. And the reason why I say only 3 is because I think a lot of people just get overwhelmed with so many options that they don't understand the fundamentals of website traffic. And what happens is we get lost in tactics, tricks, and hacks instead of fundamentally understanding web traffic from the very, very basics. Right? And I mean, I've seen things out there like 89 different ways to get website traffic. And then literally I've tried it. I've tried it where I've literally tried to sit down and say, okay, every couple days, I'm going to try a new thing off this list of 89 website traffic. And what happens is I just keep dabbling and dabbling and dabbling. And I did this, but then I stopped doing that. Now I'm over here. And it's like squirrel is happening all over the place, right? I don't want that to happen to you. So in order to help you with getting more people to show up to your website, I want you to understand the basics first. But before we get into that, I want to let you know about a resource that we've put together that is the perfect place to start. If you are still wondering, how do I get started? How do I know what my niche is? How do I know who I'm supposed to serve? Or, Jonathan, I don't even know how to bring value. I don't know how I show up best. I don't know my unique gifts. If you have any of those questions, the best place to start is grabbing our 10-page guide called the Discover Your Message Blueprint. Just go to marketyourmessage.com/discover. All right, with that, let's jump in to today's topic. So what are the only 3 ways to drive traffic? Once you understand this, then you'll be able to identify every tactic out there and say, oh, really what that is this, right? Let's boil it down. And by the way, this is a preview, the new book that we have coming out October the 20th. So depending on when you're listening or watching to this episode, our new book, Your Message Matters, is coming out to a bookstore near you. And I decided to give a little preview of some of what's in Chapter 15. So that's what today's topic's about. Chapter 15 is called Connect: How to Attract Your Audience to Your Message. So with that, let's jump into these. Here's traffic source number 1. It's free traffic. Now, free traffic is the kind of traffic we all want. We just want to publish a website and kind of like Field of Dreams. If we build it, they will come. But that doesn't necessarily work that way. But is free traffic a myth or is it a reality? It's a reality. Now, before I teach you how to get free traffic, let me explain it with a story. So my grandfather and grandmother had a piece of property, pretty much in the farmlands in Indiana, in northern Indiana. And on that property, I remember him having an old-fashioned water pump. Have you ever seen those where you have to pump the handle and you have to have your pail ready, and pumping the handle causes the water to come out and flow into the bucket, and it gets that cool water from down deep inside the earth? Well, I remember as a little boy saying, what is this thing? And my grandpa showed it to me and he says, you got to pump the handle for water to come out. So what did I do as a little boy? I grabbed the handle, I pumped 2 or 3 times, and I said, it doesn't work. And he said, no, you have to keep pumping the handle. So I kept pumping the handle, and I remember my arm got so tired, I moved to the other hand. I started pumping with the other hand. He said, keep going, you got to keep going. And then all of a sudden, water gushed out. Well, as soon as the water gushed out, I started pumping the handle again. And he said, Jonathan, you don't have to pump it as hard. You can pump it nice and slow because the water has built up in that pump. And now it is here and it's flowing freely. That is what free traffic is like. So for example, when you start blogging, one of the goals of most bloggers is to get that search engine traffic. We want that traffic from Google. We want people to find us as they're searching for topics. In fact, my very first blog, that was my main source of traffic revenue. 85% of my traffic month after month came from Google. And it came by me simply answering questions that my audience had in the form of blog posts. But did I get traffic overnight? No. But I published post after post after post, just like pumping the handle of that old-fashioned water pump. And then once traffic began to show up from Google after months of blogging, now it kept showing up and kept showing up. In fact, I have people find blog posts that I wrote over 10 years ago, they'll find it today, and they'll be introduced to my world, something I wrote over 10 years ago. Think about that. That's the power of free traffic. Now, when it comes to free traffic, I like to call this the 3S formula. There's really three main types. I call them search, social, and subscriber. Now, search is what I just explained to you. It's getting that free traffic from Google, and that largely comes as a result of doing blog posts or YouTube videos. YouTube videos are showing up in search engines now to answer questions. So just keep that in mind. Those are the main two types of search traffic. Social is pretty self-explanatory, but you do have to build up a social following over time in order to get more people to see your post. So again, it does take some time for getting social traffic. I always encourage people to start with where your audience is hanging out. Don't try to do all the social media platforms all at once. And then there's subscriber. Now, this is the ultimate form of traffic. In fact, as I'm recording this right now, I'm doing it via a live stream. So if you're listening to the podcast or you're watching the YouTube video later, know that this was first a live stream, and right now we have people watching the live stream. How did most of these people get here live with me? I sent an email to them. That is traffic you own and you control. So it is the ultimate form of free traffic. In fact, I would go as far to say that these other types of traffic I'm going to be sharing, the goal of those is to also convert them into subscriber traffic. Because as your audience grows and your list grows, you'll be able to say, hey, go check out my new blog post. Go listen to my new podcast. Hey, join me on my live stream show. I'm doing a webinar this week. Subscriber traffic is probably one of my favorite, and everything filters down into subscriber traffic. So that is free traffic. What is traffic source number two? Well, traffic source number two is paid traffic. Now, paid traffic is using social media paid platforms. So Facebook does paid ads. We all know that. But a lot of us don't realize that Twitter does also. So does Pinterest. So does LinkedIn, Instagram, and others. And so wherever your audience might be hanging out, one thing you could think about is showing them an ad to bring them into your world. Now, for a lot of people, this is intimidating, right? Because it's like, Jonathan, I don't want to waste a bunch of money turning on ads only to get no results. That's not something I want to do. Well, in order to really take advantage of paid traffic, you need to understand two things. Number one, it's kind of like a water faucet. So just like free traffic was like the water pump handle, right? Free traffic is like a water faucet. You can literally go over and turn on traffic and have traffic flowing to your website today. Now, you do pay for it, but you could turn it on, and guess what? You can also turn it off. So that is principle number one with paid traffic. Principle number two is that all paid traffic is not the same. In fact, something I learned a couple years ago, and I've adapted it to my own experience, is something known as traffic temperature. Every niche, every industry, every audience is in one of four temperature stages. Let me explain. So they're either cold to you, they're lukewarm, they're warm, or they're hot. So it's cold, lukewarm, warm, and hot. And let me just briefly explain. And again, I go into more in depth in the new book, Your Message Matters. But let me explain what that means. A cold temperature would be somebody who is your dream customer, but they don't know you yet. They know nothing about you. Now, what we don't want to do to cold traffic is show them our course for sale because they don't know us. And oftentimes it just doesn't work. We have to warm them up. Sometimes some of the best things you could do for cold traffic is give them something free. Sometimes a free webinar. You could do a free PDF download, a free quiz, or even a free blog post to read. They need to be introduced to you, right? Then there's lukewarm traffic. Now, lukewarm traffic is someone who has seen your stuff, but they have not joined your list yet. They're not a subscriber. We want them to become a subscriber. Now, in Facebook's world, we call that retargeting, where we can see, oh, somebody came and looked at my blog post. Now I want to get them on my email list. They've already consumed some of my content. Now the next step is to get them on my email list, right? Then there's warm traffic. Now, warm traffic is actually people who are already on your list. Here's a tip that most people don't understand or realize. You can take your current subscriber list and upload it to platforms like Facebook, and you can show ads just to your subscribers. Now, you might say, why would I do that if I've already got them on my email list? Well, here's why. Because not everybody opens your emails. So think about it. If you have 20% of people open your emails, and let's say your email list is 1,000 people, that's only 200 people actually seeing, your webinar or seeing your course for sale. How do we capture the other 80%? Well, we go over to Facebook and we show an ad just to our subscribers. And what I found is those ads are very effective. They're very effective because these people are already warm to you. They already know who you are. And then finally is hot traffic. Who represents hot traffic, Jonathan? It's the people who are your buyers. It's your customer list. You can also take just your customer list and upload it to Facebook and show an ad just to your customers. Now, this is very effective because what's the next step in your journey? Maybe they bought your introduction course and you want them to go the next step with you. Maybe you want them to join your coaching program or your membership site. Well, you can show an ad just to them. That is the power of Facebook ads. It's understanding the traffic temperature. Are they cold, lukewarm, warm, or hot? And depending on what stage they're at, there's a certain way to reach them. I hope that makes sense. Which brings us to the last one. What is traffic source number 3? It's partner traffic. Now, partner traffic can be one of the fastest ways to build your business. And the reason for that is because partner traffic is reaching out to people who have already gathered together your dream customers. So instead of me trying to reach one-to-one, you instead get to reach one-to-many. For example, what if you were to hold a webinar next week and your partner has your dream customers on their email list? And let's say they have 30,000 people on the list. Now, using conservative numbers, let's say 600 people register for your webinar. That's 600 targeted people on your list just by hosting a webinar. Can you begin to see how powerful this strategy is? Okay, Jonathan, but what are the different types of partner traffic? Well, here they are. There's guest contributor, guest teacher, and guest host. Now, guest contributor is, here's some examples. Guest posting. You can go find the blogs that already have your dream customers who are reading the blog post and simply produce a guest post. You can be a guest podcaster. You can go show up on a podcast and be interviewed by the host who has already gathered together your dream customers. You could do video interviews as well. That's guest contributor. Guest teacher is like doing webinars, right? Where my friend or my partner promotes to his email list my webinar. And as people register on my webinar, I get to keep those email addresses. And I'm the guest teacher because it's his audience that he brought to my training, right? And then there's guest host. Now, this sounds weird saying guest host, but follow me. A virtual summit is one of the most powerful ways to build your list quickly. What's a virtual summit? It's where you interview 10 to 15 dream partners, and then you put it together like an online conference, and it's free. Then all those 10 to 15 partners promote the online conference to their list, and people have to put an email address in order to attend. By doing that, that means you earn the email addresses. When I did this strategy a couple years ago, I earned over 6,500 email addresses in 10 days. That's the power of guest host. So there you go. You've got free traffic, paid traffic, and partner traffic. Which one are you going to start with next or first? Because the eventual goal is to have all of these working in your business. We have all of these working in our business, and we're always working to get more. All right, did you enjoy that episode? Also, don't forget to grab our 10-page guide. If you're wondering, where do I start with this whole thing, or have always wanted to start an online business, the best place to start is by grabbing the Discover Your Message blueprint. Just go to marketyourmessage.com/discover. Well, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for being here, and never forget, your message matters.